Hi guys, so we are road tripping and we decided to do a live because we got so many questions. So yes, we've never done this one before. You can actually do a live and answer questions. So you guys just keep asking the questions, and we will most certainly respond. It's pretty cool how they do this. Hello, Erica. So let's just wait for a few more people and then we'll respond to this question. Can you guys see the question? I don't know how this works. I've never done this one before. Can you see the question that we just did or that we just posted? Miss Keezy. Kimshis. Okay, you can see it. Oh, that's cool. This is cool. Okay, we're gonna start. So, Pastor, the question is, how do you continue to have a happy marriage?
Wow. Well, guys, welcome on this live. I hope y'all can hear me. Can they hear me well?
Can you guys hear us? Thumbs up. It was nice seeing you too. Hope y'all had a great time at the conference. Yes. Oh, it was great seeing you too, photographer of the year.
Well, we didn't get a picture this time, did we?
I know. I'm still waiting for the picture where Heavenly was a baby last year at Prayer Summit.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2017.
Heavenly is turning 2. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. So how do you continue to have a happy marriage?
How do you continue to have a happy marriage? This is great. From our point of view, guys, I think it's more of you keeping dating your wife. So you got to keep dating. You got to keep doing things. Just get out of the house. Take her out more. Go on vacations if you could. If not, spend time. Spend time with your wife. Make sure you are being affectionate.
This is from a husband's point of view, and I'll give mine from a female.
Yeah. Make sure you are affectionate to her because she needs that. And, just keep, try not to argue too much. Try not to fight too much. Try to prevent fighting in your marriage. I think that will help. And from the guy's perspective, you have to make a decision to love your wife no matter what.
Preach it.
All right, the decision say, this is my wife. She's not my enemy. I think sometimes the enemy makes us think that our wives are our enemies. And so what you need to do, that you got to make up your mind that this is my helper. This is my wife, my partner. She's not here to destroy me. And so I'm going to love her as I'm supposed to love her. So once you make that decision to love, it helps. It helps. So either if you are arguing and then you are able to step in and say that, no, I'm not going to allow this thing to continue. As a man, I need to put a stop to it. And sometimes you can take her out, buy her flowers. If she loves flowers, if she likes fruit baskets, give her fruit baskets. Try to do things just to show her love. And I think that will help the fire, to continue to burn in the marriage. So don't take her for granted. Don't take the marriage for granted. Work on it. All right, love your wife more than you love the marriage even, because there are men that also love marriage. They love what marriage brings, but they disregard their wife. And this is something that I'm personally learning, that I need to love my wife more than what the marriage brings to me. Because the marriage brings me children. It brings me brings me the ministry, and brings me all these things, but the main person in here is the wife. You need to love the wife. That's what the Lord said, I will love your wife. Because if you love your wife, that is what you are commanded to do. The other stuff should be secondary. And so I think we need to love more. Make a decision to love. It will keep your marriage going. It will keep your marriage going. And that's what the Lord said, that these are the keys that is going to make marriage work. And I'm speaking scripturally, but it's true. He said, husbands, love your wife. Okay, love your wife. And then First Lady will talk about how women also need to respect their husbands. But it works once you put those things together, because if I love my wife, I'll make sure that she's not hurt. I'll make sure that if I offended her, I will apologize, and I'll make sure that we regain our friendship back in the marriage. Because there are days that if you are not careful, you can go without talking to each other. And that is the plan of the enemy. And the enemy begins to talk to you, making you think that your wife is your enemy, and you start fighting. But we shouldn't do that. So make a decision that I'm going to decide to love my wife. And no matter what she does, she is my wife, and we're going to work things out. And once she sees that commitment from you by you showing her love, she will also do what she got to do. And then you realize that the marriage is always going. Because one of the things that really will dim the light of the marriage is arguments and fights. And so once you prevent that, your marriage is always on fire. Because anytime you argue with your wife or your husband, you may not sleep with them, you may not want to talk to them, you may not even want to cook for them, or you may not want to even eat their food. And so most of the problem in marriages are fights and arguments.
Police reported ahead.
All right, so we should stay away from that. All right, I'm gonna let First Lady go in.
How do you keep your marriage happy? Well, from a woman's perspective, one, respecting your husband has to be like the thing that you do. Everybody has to know that respecting a man encourages him to love you. And many people don't respect their husbands, and that is the issue. If you don't know how to respect your husband, if you don't know how to respect his authority, if you don't know how to respect what he says, if you don't know how to respect his advice, your marriage will always be horrible. Many times people are just in such bad marriages because they don't respect the vision of their husband. Now, if you are a woman and you are a person who does not respect anything that your boyfriend has to say or anything that your husband has to say, then you don't need to be married to this person. If you don't know how to respect this man, you don't need to be married, because that is the first thing about having a broken marriage.
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
Anytime you can disrespect your husband, you cause him not to love you any longer. What is the definition of respect from a male perspective? All questions has to be asked through that channel, the questionnaire box, so we can have it here. Also, to keep a happy marriage, I know one thing that I know is men like sex. That is the reality of it. Now, if you are not married, this becomes a curse more so, and it forms negative soul ties. But in the arena of marriage, women tend to deny their husbands of themselves. I know many situations where some men are like, I haven't had sex with my wife in a whole year, or after, in 6 months, and this and that. That does not keep a happy marriage, because again, what sex does is it breaks any nakedness, it breaks any secrecy, it breaks anything that allows you to keep yourself away from each other. It's a bonding agent, and so that has to be in marriage. Also, learning how to communicate. Many women, it goes back to respect, but learning how to communicate. Many women are just loud, boisterous, get mad, or they cave in and then they don't talk at all. And that is recipe for a disastrous and an explosive marriage, and you don't want that. And so to keep your marriage happy, communication is key. Anybody who knows Pastor and I are brutally yet respectfully honest with one another. And so there's no secrets in between us. Like, we know each other's every single thing. There are older women who gave advice. I remember before he even came around, they would say, have stuff like a secret bank account, or certain things your husband doesn't have to know, and blah blah blah. But in my marriage, I realize that the more I tell my husband, we bond. He doesn't keep anything from me. Most of the time, any conversation that is had with him, I know about it. Even if he doesn't tell me in detail, I often know about it, and vice versa. And so our lines of communication are extremely open. And so we always have inside jokes. We always can look at each other and know what each other is thinking most of the time, because our lines of communication is open. Okay, so that was this question. How do I go to the next one? Let me see. Question. Okay.
How do you respect your husband?
What is the definition of respect from a male perspective?
From a male perspective, it's all about...
You can hear me now?
You can hear?
Jesse? Wait, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yes, no, thumbs up. Something happened to the sound. Okay. Let me see. Okay, great. Okay, great. Oh, look at no IG Joe, guys.
No IG Joe's online. No IG Joe.
Okay, so that was this question. Whoever's using that Ark of Women account better get off of it. Whoever's using Kingdom Full Tabernacle, get off of that. Thank you. And go to your own page. Thank you very much.
You change the password.
Yes. So, next question. The next question is... Oh, I'll answer this real quick. First Lady, how can we learn to understand times and seasons? That is actually our topic for Ark of Women, so stay tuned for that. This is another question. I'm losing my hair and it is completely traumatizing. How can I pray to God for hair growth?
Is that a question I need to answer now? Okay, great question. You're losing your hair.
The respect from a male perspective, I want it to be on the questions, so when I post it, it'll all make sense. Otherwise, I don't want to respond to questions here. Just comments. But continue, Pastor.
So first of all, you need deliverance.
Yeah.
In a sense that what is deliverance? Deliverance is getting to know what the main cause is, right? What is causing your hair to break down? And so you need to pray. You need to get into prayer. Ask the Lord, God, what is happening? What is the cause of this issue in my life? Now, if you need deliverance, also you can also seek whether your pastor or whoever is your covering to pray for you and to identify what the root cause is, because you can pray for hair growth, but if you don't know what is causing it, well, the Bible says, lack of knowledge, my people perish. So without your knowledge, without you having the knowledge of the thing will not break. It will never, you will never be delivered from it. You see, God will always release light in darkness before darkness can go. So you need more light. You need more revelation concerning what is the cause, who is causing that, or what is causing this hair to go down. What did I do? Where did I go? Who touched my hair? All these things. Once you identify it,
hi, darling Deborah.
It makes it easier for you to deal with it, because we can just pray, but without revelation, you will never come out. You'll be praying, your prayers will not be working. So pray strategically and ask the Lord, what is the root cause of this hair loss? And then the Lord, when the Lord leads you to do something, just go ahead and do it. And I believe that the Lord will respond by revealing to you what happened in your life that caused your hair to go down, because hair spiritually represents your glory.
Your glory.
And so if you are losing your hair most of the time, and the Bible said the beauty of every woman is in their hair. So women are very much, when it comes to the hair of women, is very precious. All right, it's very precious. So there's no way you should be losing your hair. And so if you are losing it, that means something happened spiritually. Something is going on concerning your glory. And so we need to identify what it is and get delivered from it and pray.
Yes, you always have to make sure that you are identifying the root cause of the issue. You have to identify the root cause of the issue. There are many people whose hair losses, most of the time, maybe 99.9% of the time, it's a spiritual attack on you. And so you have to make sure you find the source. Anyone who's asking a question, I want to do stuff in decency and in order. That is why I chose to use this route. Please ask all questions through the questionnaire box. Thank you. Okay, the next question. Let's look for that next question. Is it possible to walk away from a man that might be God sent?
Of course, it is possible. The enemy can cause you to lose something that is yours, or something that will be a blessing to you. And most of the time, when the relationship or if the person is going to be good for your destiny, one of the work of the enemy is to stop that from happening. Now, Satan his name Satan simply means the resistor. He resists. And so if God wants you to go one direction and the enemy knows that that direction will be a blessing to you in the future, he will, of course, will make sure that you go on the other direction. And so that's when discernment comes in. That's when you need to be patient by praying for guidance. You cannot just make decisions just to make decisions. You need to seek God's guidance concerning the decision. And I believe that if it's the will of God, God will give you the peace and the release to be able to stay. But if it's not the will of God, then you will never find the peace of staying. And so the person that may be good for you, the enemy can easily divert them. It is possible. There are many people that have married the wrong people for them. So it is possible. And they let the right people go and ended up marrying someone that was sent by the enemy to destroy them. Because when it comes to marriage is very, very sensitive. Marriage is about destiny. You know, there are many people that marry for where they are now. But the problem is that you have to marry for where you are going. Now, you can see a beautiful, a handsome young man or a beautiful lady. For now, she looks good to you. It's very beautiful. But she has nothing in her that can help you in your future. Or he has nothing in you, nothing in him that can help you as a woman to get into where God is calling you to be. So you'll be married for now, but not for where you are going. All right? So you need to, that's why identifying your purpose. But I don't want to go off topic, so I'm just going to leave it here because somebody may ask about another question that this question I might be able to answer. But yeah, please know that you can lose what God has for you.
Ooh.
If you don't have discernment.
If you don't have discernment. I told them I'm not even going to go into that today because Lord knows you can lose what God has for you. Next question is, oh, well, you can continue here. It says, can we mess up God's plan for us?
You see, God does not force things on us. When he created man, he gave us free will. Okay, so we have the free will to do what we want to do. Now, the dominion and the rulership on this planet was given to Adam, the first man. So man have the authority to do whatever they want. Now, all this car that I'm driving now was not created by God. It was created by man. All right? God put all the creation capabilities in man, so we can do whatever we feel like doing. At the same token, yes, we saw Adam steering away from the will of God for him by eating the fruit. All right? And bringing curse to themselves. And so the same way that Adam lost his way, it's the same way we can also lose our way. So God can have a plan for you. Now we have the perfect will of God for somebody, and then we have the permissive will of God. And so God can have a perfect plan for you. But your desire, your ability to choose can cause God to give you the permissive one. Now the permissive one is the one that you yourself forcing God to give you. And God said that if you want this, then I will release you to go ahead. But there will be problems, there will be fights, there will be delays if you go that direction. But if you wait for my direction, you will experience peace. There will be provision for you if you choose that path. All right. So there are two paths in this world. There's a narrow path, and also there's a wide gate. That the road that is so big for everyone to walk on. But if you choose the narrow, it may be tough. It may at that moment it may not be attractive. It may not be something that you may like. But if you are patient enough, that will be the one that may help you. You see. But the one that is wide open for everybody to be walking on, that one could be fun now, but later on you end up paying the price for it. And so yeah, you can lose God's will for you if you don't have patience, and if you don't have discernment to know that this is what God wants for me, because your own desires can also stray you away from God's plan. All right. So First Lady, help them out.
Can we mess up God's plan for us? Yes, you can mess up, and we hear it all the time. This person was so good to me, but I wasn't ready to receive it, and so I messed it up with my attitude. I said something that I wasn't supposed to say. I ended up demonstrating an attitude that I wasn't supposed to demonstrate, and now this person has went off and married someone else, and now you are lonely and you are harassing your pastor because you messed up God's plan for you with your attitude. You messed up God's plan for you with your mouth, with your character, with your lack of submission, with your inability to be trained. That is a topic that the body of Christ needs, to be trained. We don't like to be trained. We don't like to be told what to do. We don't like to submit until things hit the fan, and then you call your pastor and his cute first lady and you harass them. But that's another day, another story.
And also, I mean, attitude, character is the key.
Woo, child.
There are many people that, because of their character, have lost everything.
Cool.
And pride. Pride is the easy way to lose God's plan for you. Pride. If you are not submissive enough, and sometimes people think submission is only, submission to God will be with man. God is shown through men, all right? And so if God wants you to submit, He gives you a leader. He gives you somebody in charge of you. That is why He said that children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Now, He said, honor your father and mother. All right, so that is a key. God said that if you honor your father, your mother, you are honoring me, God. If you honor your leaders, you are honoring me. I am the one that placed them in your life. And so even in marriage, if the woman is able to do that, she's honoring God. Is she not? You see, when the woman submits to her husband, it's an honor to God, more than even to the husband, because she's doing what God told her to do. The same way in life. Listen, if you are not submissive, and if you are not submissive to what God has for you, by submitting to the leaders in your life, because God will always guide you through the shepherd that He has placed over your life. And so if your lack of submission can also affect you in losing a lot of things in life, because through your leaders, they can guide you. There are parents that will tell your child, do this way, do this that way. And if you realize that if the child follows the godly counsel that the parent is given, you realize that the child's life goes ahead, it goes well with the child. But if the child decides to do their own thing, they end up becoming like the prodigal son and going wayward. And the Bible said that if you break the head, the serpent will bite. And so staying committed and staying under authority will also help you to be in the will of God for your life, in a marriage, in career, in everything that you do. You realize that it will go well with you because you learn the key word: humility, submission, and dedication. And if you have these things, and all these are character things that I'm mentioning, and there are many people that don't have those character traits, and so they'll always do things and they always lose things in their lives. And so I pray that you will humble yourself, and then you will follow God's order. And as you follow God's order, you will never lose what God has for you. If you decide to do your own thing, you will end up making a mistake that it will be hard for you to regain back. There are many people that have lost their husband or their wives, and now they are in a relationship where they are dying. They are killing themselves every day because they decided to do their own thing. And so learn how to submit. It will be a blessing to you for the future as well.
Amen. Next question. Let's see. This is cool. What is a good spiritual mother meant to do for you? In this case, spiritual parents in general. What is a good spiritual mother meant to do for you?
What do you mean?
Like, what is the duty of a spiritual parent?
A spiritual parent.
Yes, what is the duty, basically?
A spiritual covering or a spiritual parent is there to guide, is there to cover in prayer, is there to advise, is there to be a hedge. But all those things happen by the person that is being covered, by their submission to that covering. I always say that people will mention, oh, you are my spiritual father, or you are my spiritual mother. Now, it's just a saying that, but spiritually, the only thing that will qualify you to be under somebody's covering is your submission to that person. Whether you are submitted through giving, all right? So if you have a covering in anyone, whether it's his father or a mother, you need to be giving. You got to give to the person. You got to provoke the person to be able to pray for you. All right? So you do things. Remember, when Isaac was ready to die and he wanted to bless his son. Now, you know, Rebecca was a good cook. She cooked the best soups. She can make a goat, a sheep, a sheep meat to become like a bush meat. She was that good. But the father didn't want his wife to cook for him. He said, my son, I want to bless you. Now go and catch an animal from the bush. And he knew that it was going to be hard for him to catch it. But he said, go and do something hard and make soup for me and let me eat the soup so that my soul can bless you. You see, that is covering. The man needed something to provoke his soul to love his son more.
Joe said oxtail soup.
Oxtail soup. Okay? He needed something to provoke. So when you are a spiritual son or daughter, you need to always do something to provoke the person that you are under to pray for you more, to advise you more. You submit to them. You listen to their advice. And so they realize that everything they tell you, you do. You are very humble. It always will provoke them for them to be able to give you more advice. But if you're under somebody's covering and they give you one word, I know.
Shut up.
You don't apply it. You don't use it. You do your own thing. Next time, the person will not be provoked to cover you by guiding you anymore. So spiritual covering, most of the time, is engaged by the person that is submitted. If you submit, spiritually you'll be covered. But if you deny, if you try to do your own thing, it will never happen, no matter how the person feels, whoever is covering you, because you need something to provoke your soul to bless you. Because remember, you can never curse out of a happy heart, and you can never bless out of a bitter heart. And so you need something to provoke your spirit for the person, for you to be able to bless the person. And when you release those kind of blessings, when you are happy for that person, or when you think well about the person, you realize the person is really a good person towards you, has been faithful towards you. When you are praying for such person spiritually, it provokes the blessing that you are releasing. But there are people that you can open your mouth to bless them, but because they have never provoked you to really love on you, for you to be able to, they have not done anything to provoke your spirit. to release such a blessing, when you open your mouth to bless them, it will just be a mouth talking. Spiritually, there will be no release. All right? So if you are under somebody's covering, you make sure that you connect by submitting to everything they tell you, by being obedient, by also honoring them. Honor is the key. When you honor somebody, they bless you. All right? One thing about spiritual sons and daughters and fatherhood and motherhood is that the person that is covering you is the one that carries the blessing. And the blessing is more spiritual. It's not a physical thing. What you carry in your hand is not a blessing, it's honor. Now, what you do is, anytime you give to your spiritual father or mother, you are honoring them. You are not blessing them, because that is not blessing. When you honor them, it provokes their spirit to bless you. All right? When you honor them, and so when you say that I want to honor you with this seed, when you do that, then it provokes their spirit, and then they begin to release blessing. And so wherever you go, their spirit is watching over you. And so if something is about to happen, the Lord will then reveal it to them. You see, it's more spiritual. The Lord will then reveal it to them because they are under your covering. The Lord will say, my son, this is what's about to happen to this person. Pray for that person. Okay? And so please submit, and then let the thing happen spiritually.
And stop the I know. If you knew, you would have delivered yourself long time ago. You know, yesterday, Pastor and I were talking to someone who's shepherding us, in a sense. And everything he was saying was confirmation. It was something that literally the Lord has revealed to us. It was no deep, dark secret. And we could have easily been like, yeah, you know, he told us, and the Lord told us, and this and that. And that would have dimmed down his gift. It would have shut down the prophetic gift. It would have stopped it automatically. But because we are mature in Christ, what both of us did was, yes, okay, I hear you. We'll do it. Yes, okay, we'll hear you. I do it. We were yes men because we understood that us talking too much could potentially shut down the gift and deter him from shepherding us. Now, when we got in the car, I was like, babe, everything he said. And he was like, yeah. And then we both came to the conclusion, wow, good thing we didn't say anything. Had we said something, it would have stopped him. And he would have been like, if you know it, then you don't need my counsel. And many times that is what happens. You get somebody, if you don't respect their counsel, if you don't want to hear the words that are coming out of their mouth, don't ask them. Because once you ask, now you have to shut up. Yes, sometimes Christians need to hear that word, shut up, and listen. Like, you need to learn how to humble yourself. Our generation does not know how to humble ourselves. Everything is I know. If you knew, you would have known that your mama was a witch, that your grandmother is the reason for all your sufferings. You would have known that your brother was afflicted long time ago. You would know why your sister is gay, if you knew. And so, if you want to know what a good spiritual mother and or parent has to do for you, it actually starts with you. It starts with you learning how to shut up. Shut it up. Even if you know what they say. Yes. You can have a PhD, but they rank in the spirit apostolically. And so if you are coming to them for spiritual advice, you best to believe it. Okay, I'm a preach, Brother Joe.
Joe, I've started.
Yeah.
No IG Joe. I need that at church this Sunday, okay?
Yeah, Joe, Pastor be waiting for your commentary.
All right.
Okay, next question is, there's a lot of questions. If a man of God repeatedly tells you your career path, but you've lost desire for that field, should you still follow this?
Well, let me get to something now. When it comes to career, marriage, anything that has to do with your destiny, God reveals to you yourself. understand this. There are many people that have made mistake to go and marry the wrong person because a prophet told them, "Oh, I've seen you marrying that person." And that, you have to understand the difference between the prophetic gift, right? The prophetic, we have the discerning of spirit, we have word of knowledge, word of wisdom, and then we have the gift of prophecy itself. Okay? Now, what the prophet is saying that I've seen this is word of knowledge. It's not prophecy. In the sense that he's seeing, he's picking, because if you are a prophet, when you enter into a place, you begin to pull things spiritually. God begin to show you things. It's because it's like a magnet. You begin to pull, all right? And so you can see something, but that may not be the will of God.
So I can see that you got married to person A, but what I didn't see, because we prophesy in parts, is I didn't see that it ended up in a divorce because he was abusing you.
Yes, you see. So he can pick the word of knowledge, but he can never. But what you have to wait is that what is the direction? What is God saying? What is that says the Lord concerning this? When you look at the scriptures, anytime something will happen, and then the Lord will speak. Now the Bible says, "And that says the Lord." Okay, that says the Lord. Now, when you hear that says the Lord, that is a prophecy. Then God is giving you His mind concerning the situation. And so you have to identify what the word of knowledge is and what the gift of prophecy is. Now, when it comes to you making a decision concerning your career, it has to be something that is embedded in you. Now, there's a course that we would do about identifying your ministry or identifying your gift. Now, one of the things you need to understand that your heart desires is very, very important in identifying what you were called to do.
Hey, now, look on the road. Don't look at IG.
IG Joe. All right. Now, what you need to identify is the heart desire. If you have no desire about what the man of God is saying, no desire at all, 100% of the time, God has not given you that career. All right. So if the prophet is telling you something that you have no desire to do, I can tell you that it will never happen. There are many people that have been led astray. And so you need to find out what is inside of you that you enjoy doing, that you yourself can feel more fulfillment in doing and be more fruitful in doing. When you find fulfillment and fruitfulness, it's a sign that you have been called for that. But if you find no fulfillment and fruitfulness in the thing, it's not from the Lord. You are in the wrong path. Okay? And so fulfillment and what? Fruitfulness. Fulfillment and 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 fruitfulness. All right? God bless you. First lady, take over.
Yes. So basically, what we need to understand about the prophetic is that, again, we do prophesy in parts, right? And so what I will see, again, I can see that, yes, you became a doctor. But then what the part that I don't see is that you ended up failing your boards and you ended up becoming an artist instead. And so maybe you wasted your time becoming a doctor when the will of God was to become an artist. Now, where we get it wrong is we don't pray. Once the word of knowledge and or prophecy comes, you have to make sure that now you are praying. And usually it's a confirmation. That is what a prophecy is. It builds you, and it's often a confirmation. Like I was saying, the man of God was confirming a lot to us. And so while it was easy to say, yup, it was just like, wow, God, thank you for confirming that this is about to happen, that this is about to take place, that this is moving forward. And what we often do is, and I got about 3 or 4 messages today just about a prophet told me that this is not the man for me. Yeah, the prophet could have told you that, but guess what? He didn't tell you that 10 years later, you and that person might have reconvened and now you just wasted 10 years of your life. What is God saying concerning that situation? What is God saying concerning that situation?
Right, so that says the Lord is very important.
And prophets are very important. Do not allow anyone to tell you that a prophecy is not needed and you can go ahead and do stuff on your own.
Yeah, you know, in the New Testament, remember, the Holy Spirit lives in us. And so what the prophet in the New Testament does is to confirm what God has already released in you. All right? And so, yeah, somebody can come to you, I can see you ministering, I can see you becoming a pastor. For me, the desire was already placed in me a long time ago. When I was playing basketball, I had the desire to minister. I was ministering to people and evangelizing to people when I was in high school. And I was playing basketball. And so you can see me and say, oh, damn, I see you becoming an NBA player. But maybe you are pulling something that I'm already doing, but that's not my end. My end was to be in ministry. So anyone that can see prophetically can see that, oh, I see you as a pastor. Although I was playing basketball then. All right? And so when it comes to these things, maybe you becoming that career could be it's a stepping stone to where you are going. So he's seeing the stepping stone. Or you can get into something hit down, but later on, it will lead you to what the prophet said. And that's where contending for the prophecy comes in. And so if the man of God said that, I see you becoming a doctor, yet your desire is to be a pastor, then you know that, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to pray and contend for this, even though the enemy is fighting me on this, because chances are in medical school is where I will find, my ministry or something like that, which will move you forward. And so you got to be careful and don't be too naive. That is why I always tell my church members that there's a maturity level for everything. Many times, I have the prophetic by God's grace. I'm praying for the deepest level of it. I refuse to tell certain people certain things because their maturity level has not reached there. I cannot tell you that the reason for all your troubles is because of a family member, because you're not ready to receive that. And so you got to be careful what you expose yourself to. And many times that's what spiritual parents are for. They'll tell you, no, I don't want you to know certain things just yet. You see, that's a form of covering. That's a form of protection. When Moses was in that basket, what happened is that he was covered. That was a form of protection. It wasn't a form of manipulation. It wasn't a form of, oh, I'm so gifted and this girl doesn't want me to do anything, or she's intimidated, or pastor doesn't want me to pass him. No, it's a form of covering. Moses was covered so that no one would come and kill him. When you are mature in the spirit, you understand covering. You understand that not everything is for every season. You understand times and seasons. You understand that for a while you might have to be in the basket, covered in the water where no one can see you, and it is a form of preservation. It is a form of preservation. You see, when you are ignorant spiritually and you're not spiritually mature, you end up thinking everyone is against you. No one wants you to move forward in life. Everyone is hating on you. When in reality, we're trying to hide you away from the people that's trying to kill you. So you got to be very, very cautious and know things in the spirit and understand spiritual things, and stop thinking that everything has to be spelt out for you. Next question, please. I like what you said about not being exposed to everything
prematurely.
Now listen, not everyone can be exposed into certain level of prophecy. The prophetic gift, you see, God is very strategic. There are certain people that he will not expose to certain level of information because you are not matured enough to deal with it. And so if you leave out of your covering and go and seeking for prophecy, you will hear things that can either destroy you,
hinder you, mess you up, take you away from God.
Yes.
Get you frustrated.
Or put fear in you.
And fear.
Because you are not grown enough to receive such information. So when you hear it, you don't know what to do with that information. And so staying under covering is very important. Now, talking about Moses, remember when Bible said when Moses was born, the child was God. His Bible said he was a goodly child. he has so many grace on him. And so the parents like, now we cannot allow this child to die. So Moses was gifted from his childhood. When he was born, he had so much gift. And so the parents covered him.
Not started hating on him because he's gifted, not because he can sing, not because he can prophesy better than anybody, not because he can preach better than anybody. It was a form of protection, preservation.
They preserved him for 3 months. After that, then they put him in a basket and covered him up again, so that the water would not destroy him, so that people may not see him and just kill him. And so you need to understand that there are things that Moses were not ready to be exposed to. He was not ready to be exposed to the water, because that water could have killed him when he was young. So the parents covered him with a basket, and all Moses could see at that time was darkness.
And
it's good. It was good for him. It preserved his life. Later on, the same water that he had trouble with, that same water is what he parted into two by the authority of God, because now he was mature to deal with the water. And so there are certain things in your life that you are not ready to expose. You are, even us as a ministry, there are certain levels of that we are not ready to be exposed to. And that is fine. God knows what we are doing. There are ministries that have been in place for 30 years. They are allowed to be exposed to certain level than a ministry that God is trying to build up. You see, so when you expose yourself prematurely to certain level of ministry, you end up dying early. And this is one thing that church members need to understand. What I can deal with, or what First Lady can deal with, may not be the same thing that you as a church member can deal with. And so there's a certain place that I can go that it may not be wise for you to go to the same place, because what I can deal with spiritually may not be the same thing that you can deal with. So you may hear something that can dump on your Christian life, and for me it may be a stepping stone. And so be careful what you allow yourself to be exposed to. Be careful who you allow to speak into your life. Be careful what hand you allow to be laid on you, because all these things are very, very important spiritually.
So there's an example. So there was this young lady. She went to a prophetic meeting, and she doesn't really have a covering. But you see, that's the issue sometimes. Everybody takes everybody normally. That's why I was talking about vision. When you have vision, you see that no, this girl may be tiny, but she ranks. This guy may be very calm and humble, but he ranks spiritually. So what he says, I must listen to. So this young lady went to a prophetic meeting. They told her that, when she went to her country, some demonic activity happened, and she woke up and they fed her, and some monster came to get her, and all this stuff. And the prophet, you see, one thing about prophets, they say it and leave. That's why pastors are important. Pastors are like daddies and mommies. They shepherd you. They know what you can take. They understand where you are in levels. The prophet comes, speaks the word, and is out. So this prophet told this immature Christian all these things. Her not having any type of covering, the prophet didn't really finish, because that's what prophets are known for. Again, they prophesy in parts. And so you can't force them to tell you more than they know, because then they start lying. Or a true prophet would tell you, I don't know, go seek God, or, it's not time to reveal that yet. And so the prophet told her, I'll let you know who did it later, if I ever see you again. This girl literally started to go crazy, wanted to look for the prophet's number, wanted to find where the prophet was willing to fly places just to find out what it was. Understandable, sometimes you get desperate and you need a word. But now she was literally going crazy because she didn't understand that the rest of the prophecy was not meant to be unveiled. And so now you have a girl who is literally scared of the dark. She thinks monsters are coming after her. She's paranoid. And in a sense, she's going crazy, mentally crazy, because she was not ready to receive that word. But if she had covering, her man or woman of God would have said, you know what? I want you to sit out on this one. I don't want you to go anywhere. Because anytime God gives you a pastor, he often reveals you to that pastor. And so while they may not release that word because prophetically or functionally that is not their job, they know what's going on. And so they feel as if, okay, let me get her to a point where she's at least read half of the Bible. And then maybe I can tell her and refer her back to some scriptures. But right now, she only knows one book in the Bible. And I can't refer her to any scriptures when I unveil what is happening in her life. And so then you get a person who is so confused, who is now paranoid, who now doesn't know any better. And now they start to get scared. They are now fearful of demons instead of knowing the authority they have. They are now paranoid about every single thing instead of taking charge. We got to be careful, guys. We got to be careful. Not everybody is everybody. Next question. I think we stayed on this long enough.
I mean, those are great stuff.
Yeah. How do you deal with trauma? Let me see. Oh, this is a good one. Good afternoon, First Lady. Can eating late at night affect the type of dreams a person has?
I think so. I think what you eat says a lot about you. Because food sometimes can either, I don't know, food is it's more spiritual too, because sometimes when you eat too much, you get tired. Dreams that are senseless.
Yeah.
You know, because of the type of food you ate. So that's why we go into fasting. Fasting actually helps our spirit to be able to pick up things. And so either you will not have a dream, or you have a dream that makes no sense, or you just, and so make sure it's better to eat and get the food digested before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too spiritual about this, but I mean, scientifically, I don't think it's even healthy for you to eat and go to sleep right away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And also, any questions, please put it in the questionnaire box. Let's do stuff in decency and in order. This is a questionnaire live, and so I want all the questions through the questionnaire box. But when it comes to food in general, we just have to be very, 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 very careful. Pastor and I have a no-nonsense rule, and I think we're going to reinforce that. Like, don't cook for my husband. From now on, I don't want nobody offering us food. Nobody offers us anything. Like, just don't give nobody food. Does that mean we're paranoid? No, we're ministers who are deliverance ministers. And so we got to be careful, because one way the enemy accesses you is through food and sex. And I know I'm not going to go have sex with anybody else, so the enemy will try food. And so you got to be very careful. You can eat somebody's food and that person will project. They will literally project on you. Pastor and I have both eaten food from someone and woke up in horrible dreams. I didn't even know he had a bad dream until I opened my mouth to tell him. And then all of a sudden he's like, I had a bad dream too. So, wait, what? Go into my Insta stories, and then it has the questionnaire box. I think is one of the last slides. And then you just ask a question like you normally would. What were you going to say?
Oh, so spiritually, I mean, food is dangerous. I mean, I always talk about food and sex. But personally, I've eaten foods that anytime I eat those foods, I will get spiritual attacks. Some demon will come and sleep with me because of what I eat. Now, let me show you how that happened, okay? Now, food, when you eat food, you satisfy your appetite, okay? So if the enemy wants you, first of all, he wants to know what you love, okay? And so once you're able to eat the food, he can tap into your appetite. And most of the time, the person itself may not be a witch or something making the food, but there is a spirit that has There's a spirit that is demonized or oppressing that person that can use that access to contaminate the food. Okay? To contaminate the food. So whoever I'm going to eat from, the person has to be very spiritual, highly delivered. So if you are oppressed in any form or any way, you can be easily assessed. Not saying that you can be easily assessed to contaminate the food that I eat. There are many people that have eaten out of their hands. They were not witches, but anytime I ate food from their hands, guess what? I had a spiritual attack. I even went to a restaurant and the girl was just serving me the food. But you know, the gift of discernment is that you will know it. It's like you know. When I was eating the food, I was like, God, I know this might happen. Like I knew. So when it happened that night, I knew that this girl that touched the food. Now maybe the cook was okay, but the person that touched the food to serve it to me was demonized, was oppressed, some way, somehow. And I can see spiritually that the girl had a marine spirit on her. And what I was dealing with was spiritual marriage at that time. And so that is the same family, marine. So once he touched my food, it gave them access to use what I'm eating to access me, to tap into my appetite that night. And so you can eat food from people's hands and the enemy can tap into your appetite. Now, how does that happen? Now, if you have all of a sudden you are seeing the type of girl that you like in a dream and the type of girl that you are so attracted to, how was the enemy able to know that? He knew that through the food you ate because he was able to tap into your appetite. Okay? And so once you saw that girl, then you end up sleeping with that girl or that guy in a dream. And then you wake up and the enemy has advanced in doing whatever they wanted to do at that time. And so be careful with food. Be careful with food. All right? If you can make your own food, make your own food. All right? Be careful with food. And sometimes if they cannot get you through sex, they will try you through food.
And if you are a foodie,
yes, a lot of people have received witchcraft through food. And so even when it comes to my children, please, if they beg you, don't give it to them. And
who gonna give my kids food?
I'm just saying.
Who?
You know what? This is the principle I'm walking in. Even me as a pastor, I don't just get up and give people's food. I wouldn't even do that. Because I just can't do that. That's somebody's child.
I triple dog dare somebody to even fix their lip and give my child food.
I've seen so many, and I've heard so many stories where people have eaten, and from that day forward, either they start losing their hair, or after that day forward, their life go wayward because food gives the enemy access to your spirit. He said, out of your belly shall flow the rivers of living water. So that means that if you eat some food, it can block the flow of God in your belly spiritually. And so be careful what you eat, and also be careful who you sleep with. Those two things, if you can avoid it, you will be very successful spiritually.
Yeah. So you guys are asking about the box. I heard on this live too. Well, it's ending right now. So once I end it, I'll give you about 5 minutes to go and write your questions in, and then I'll go back on live. I guess when I'm on live, you can't see my my Insta stories. So I'm gonna end it now, and then we will come back. Okie dokie, artichokies. A thumbs up if you understand what I just said. All right, so I will be back in 5 minutes.